What's going on, everybody? How you doing? In today's video, this is a donation request. This is for Rob. This is Kate Bush. This is actually two songs. He wants me to do them back to back because they kind of go into each other, right? It's one of those kind of deals. This is the first two songs off of her debut album, The Kick Inside. So the songs are Moving and the Saxophone song. That's what we're going to be checking out today. And let's see, what does Rob say? Rob says, so this was triggered by, I did a community post on, it was 10 years ago that I wrote and produced for Earth, Wind & Fire. That album came out. This album up here, which has a glare on it, so you can't really see. But one of the songs is Splashes, and he checked it out, and he said it makes him want to request the opener from Kate Bush's first album because of the whale songs. I guess there's whales on the album, and Splashes. It was one. I wrote it. When did I write that song? Co-wrote it in like 2006 or 7, I think, maybe 2007, maybe. It's an easy modal jazz song. What does that mean? That's like So What. Miles Davis is So What, right? So it's like, you know, Dorian, which is a mode, okay, which is just the scale starting on the second note of the major scale, going from the second note all the way up an octave. That's all it is, okay? That's a super basic description of what Dorian mode is. So it's just a modal tune, but Terrence Blanchard played on it, and he made it sound like magic, like magical wonderland, fantasy, fantasticness. It just amazing. He, you know, just freaking. I wish I was there for that session. I wasn't. You didn't get invited or asked to go to every session. You know, basically, I got asked to go to the sessions that I was producing. And I wrote this song, but it's the one that I wrote that I didn't produce on the album. But they did a freaking phenomenal job. Like a phenomenal job. I'm super proud of that song. And since Rob brought it up about the whales, I told him that the Seattle Times actually wrote about Splashes, saying that it sounded like swimming dolphins or something to that effect. I wrote it in the community notes in the comments. Rob commented about it, and I responded with what the Seattle Times said about it. Something about like evokes images of swimming dolphins, and I think that that's a lot to do with Terrence Blanchard's playing. Really, I mean, it has a bit to do with the song and the kind of feel vibe of the song. So that song made him think of whales. Great. And yeah, Kate Bush. So let's do this track, Motivated by Splashes and the Positive let's see. And then so his CD has a different cover than what's on Spotify and like different music services. So he wanted me to talk about why that is, what's going on with that. And I found out why just on the Wikipedia, actually. It says The Kick Inside was released February 17th, 1978. 6 different varieties of the album's cover are known. So not just the 2 that you saw, but 6. The regular UK cover, the variant UK cover, the US cover, the Canadian cover, the Yugoslavian cover, the Japanese cover, and the Uruguayan cover. The Uruguayan cover being the rarest and most expensive due to its unusual head-on photo of Bush. In the UK, it was released twice as a limited edition picture disc and a full cover outer sleeve. That's what I was thinking initially when Rob emailed me. I was like, maybe it's just like a different edition, like, or maybe like an import or something like that. But then once I went on the Wikipedia for the album, it says it right here. So I'm like, oh wow, there's 6 different versions of the cover art. The music is probably the same. It's probably exactly the same. It's just the cover art. Sometimes that happens. They do that. So for all kinds of various reasons, you know, it's kind of like Smell the Glove, right? I have seen that movie. Okay. Right, where they like have to change the album cover. They gotta do this for this country because they don't, you know, whatever. Anyways, so we're doing Moving and the saxophone song. This album has that song Wuthering Heights. I have not heard, I don't really know Kate Bush's music. So every Kate Bush song I've ever heard is literally a video on the channel, which is what? That's like 2, 3, right? Everything I've heard from her, I think is freaking phenomenal though. Thus far, everything, I'm just like, wow, she is an artist. She's like really, really good. So anyways, we're going to be checking out these 2 songs. What else? Rob also said, because he wanted me to do them back to back. Would you be okay with listening to both all at once in the reaction? Let me know if you agree that the outro wails are really mostly part of the first track, transitioning into the second, since these are bleed-in tracks. Hoping you're okay with doing both all in one listen. Okay, yeah, so I got that together. So we're going to listen to both of them together. That's what we're going to check out. If you're new here, please subscribe. Check out my videos, all kinds of videos, reaction videos, bass videos, music videos. Check it out. If you like the channel and want to support the channel, you can hit super thanks underneath this video. You can hit me direct in the description. I got PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Amazon, wishlist, mailing address, and I do donation requests just like this one. So if there's something you want me to watch, listen to, talk about, hit me direct. PayPal, Cash App, Venmo in the notes section. Leave a description. Let me know what you want the video to be on. I'll make the video. You can also email me at jpanreadsemail@gmail.com. Thank you guys. All right, so here we go. Kate Bush, 2 tracks from the kick inside, Moving and the saxophone song. Let's get into it. Bam. Okay, so these are wails. She's super young. She was like a teenager, right? You crush the lily in my Ooh, nice change. I like that. Wow. That's the first track, and then we have this, the wails again. just goes right into the next song. Yeah. Cool. Dig it. Yeah, very good. Yeah, she's really, I mean, the tone of her voice and like immediately I was like, oh yeah, she was like, once I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, she was young, right? Because she was like pretty, I mean, even just reading this, written songs since the age of 11, recorded demos, brought some of these, her friend of hers, Ricky Hopper, brought some of these tapes to record companies in 1972 when Bush was 13. Tapes were passed over, but Hopper played them for David Gilmour, right? We're talking when she was 13. Jesus. So what? She was 17 or so. So she was born in 58, and these came out, they were recorded, well, it was released in 78. So she was 20, but they were recorded in 1975 and 1977. So when she was 17, when she was 19. Pretty cool stuff. I like the changes. I like the kind of arrangements, the instruments, and you know the music in general. Her voice is fine. It's nice. It's clean. It's. I don't know if it's the recording, like, because I get the vibe that this is like a lower budget, like, you know, she's just starting out and all that kind of thing. It says that they gave her a 3,000 pound advance. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means or equals. All right, whether that's right now or in the time, you know, of 1970, late 70s, right? And what that would get you, all that kind of thing. But I mean, obviously she was able to make it happen. And it looks like David Gilmour helped finance demos, stuff like that. So I don't know if it's the recordings or just like where her voice was when she was a teenager, basically, recording these. But I feel like vocally, tonally, not like her melodies and stuff like that. I just mean tonally, really. I feel like I like the other recordings that I've heard of her better, but I have a feeling that has more to do with just age than anything else. But all, you know, really good, and obviously her ideas are all out there. Yeah, so I've heard parts of The Dreaming, and she was, what, 24 here? And then The Red Shoes, which is even later. So, right, like 10 years later or whatever. After that, something like that. 10, at least 10. Anyways, yeah, music is really cool. Music is really cool, for sure. In terms of, like, the whale stuff, what are you saying? You're saying, so basically, Rob is saying that, like, the whale part is more a part of the first song than the second song, but yet for some reason, it kind of just goes into the first track. I mean, they go completely together, you know, it just like goes out into one. This is definitely something that you would like listen to as a whole, I would think, right? Because it just like it goes right into it, and that's where you're talking about. Rob is using the phrase bleed in, right? It just like bleeds into it. That's just where they're chopping it, and that's not uncommon, actually, especially for music back then. I would say it's not a thing anymore, because people don't listen to music like this anymore. They listen to a track. Most people are not listening to just an album anymore. People aren't. I'm sure I've said the story before when I was at Berkeley, and Maria Schneider, jazz composer, gave a clinic, and she literally at David Friend, and she literally asked us how many people listen to whole records. And I raised my hand because I still, you know, I mean, I do. I like it. I mean, I do both. I'll listen to individual songs specifically also if I have to learn something, right? Like, I'll do that. Like, that's fine. But, like, I like listening to albums. So, like, I'll listen to the whole album. I think that that's what I'm going to, I don't know, for the most part do on the channel now is, like, listen to an album because I like albums, especially older era pre-digital, you know, like crazy digital, all that kind of stuff, when they made albums to be the album, you know, especially anything that began on vinyl, you know, it's like they made it that way. That's just what it is. And sure, you can pick like, oh, well, this was the single, this was the hit, well, this song became popular, you know, these are just deep cuts or whatever. That's fine, but it was still made as an album, and they were able to do more of these kind of artsy things where it's like there's bleed. Or another great example is Rob mentioned Dave Matthews Band. Crash number 41 into Say Goodbye has a similar kind of thing. Also on Before These Crowded Streets, right? They had those snippets at the ends of tracks or at the beginnings of tracks that were not related to the track. It was just kind of like a jam thing that they just threw in. Those kinds of things, that was big in like the 70s also. Different 70s tracks, R&B stuff, soul music. D'Angelo's Voodoo has a bunch of that on it, right? But that's like taken from, they used to do that. That's like more of an artsy kind of thing, a thing where it's like more about the whole album, the album as a whole instead of individual tracks. You can take the individual tracks, that's fine, but like the album as a whole is a thing. That's kind of all I have to say about it, I guess, is that it's just like an, you know, this is art pop, right? Kate Bush is like art pop, whatever that means, right? What does it say right here? Art pop, art rock, experimental pop, post-progressive, progressive pop. So, you know, she does these artsy things and stuff like that, and it's cool, that's fine. That's all good, you know? It's all good. Sounds fine. Sounds good. It just, connects the work. Makes sense, right? Especially this. It connects it. It just effortlessly flowed into it, and then they made the cut where they made the cut. They're like, all right, let's make it so that that's done on purpose. Cut right here so that the whales are the outro of this track and the intro of this track. It's like it never stopped because it didn't. They just cut it there. But again, if you're not listening to the whole album, if you're just listening to individual tracks, you're not going to get that. You're not going to understand that. That's not going to make sense. And that's not how people listen to music nowadays for the most part. People aren't listening to whole albums. They're listening to individual tracks. They're listening to playlists, right? Spotify playlists or whatever playlists. Shit that they put together, whatever. I don't even feel like people do that too much anymore, like mixtapes or whatever, whatever. Recording with a cassette, the radio, stuff like that, right? That's just not, it's just not a thing. It's not a thing anymore. So people aren't listening to music that way. They're listening to music via like videos on YouTube. That's how they're listening to it, or on Spotify, right? And different playlists and things like that. So you wouldn't catch this stuff. You wouldn't really get it. Anyways, very cool. I don't have anything else to say about the music itself. It's still very good. Still very good. You could tell that there's something that's there. Nice changes. Where did she learn music? All it really says is like she began writing songs at 11, but like how? Like where did she, it doesn't go further than that. You're not just born and you turn 11 and then you're just like, I'm going to start writing music. You have to know something about music. Anything, just whatever. What was she listening to when she was a kid? Did her parents come from music? Like were her parents doing music? Like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like her brothers were musicians. Were they older brothers? Was she getting it from that? So all these questions. Wow. Yeah, Kate Bush recorded demos with the assistance of her brothers who were also musicians. I'm assuming they were older brothers. I don't know that though. I have no idea. Anyways. All right. Amazing. Thank you guys. Catch you in the next video.